12 books, one slump breaker, a few 5 stars, and at least one I kind of wish I hadn't finished. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to Reverie, where we talk about all things books, beauty, and self-discovery. Today's video is a book wrap-up with real ratings and no fluff. If you have been looking for a new reading inspiration or just want to hang out and hear what I've been loving or not loving, then you're gonna enjoy this one. The first book I read this year was The Fourth Wing. Yeah, I know, I am late in the game, but I am not so much a romantic reader. This book is my first romantic read, and I couldn't put this book down while I was reading. This was the book that got me out of a reading slump. It was fun and fast-paced. It follows Violet Sorrengail forced into a brutal war college for dragon riders, where most people don't survive their first year. It got enemies to lovers, talking dragons, intense training, and non-stop action. If you are in a slump too, you should add this to your TBR. Of course, the second book I read this year is Iron Flame. After Fourth Wing, I have to read the second one. The pacing was definitely slower than the first book, especially on the second half. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think first half was better than second half. Still, I love the characters and the world, even though there is a huge communication problem throughout the whole book. I still enjoyed my reading. The first half dives deep into characters and world building, which I personally loved, but the second half was a little bit off. Still, it was action-packed, emotional, and full of dragon drama. This was a hard one to rate because I love Matt Haig's writing and I love the Midnight Library. This book felt too predictable and too slow. It follows Grace Winters, a grieving retired teacher who inherits a magical house in Ibiza and unexpectedly steps into a magical mystery. The book explores loss, second chances, and magical forces. I got the message of the book. I understand why it's written for or whom it's written for, but the message doesn't land the way I hoped. If you're curious, try it, but I wouldn't reread or recommend. Okay, the fourth book I read this year was The Winter's Promise by Christilla Dabos. I think I'm butchering her name. I will write on the screen. This book has a unique world. I'm fascinated by the setting and the vibes. I gave it 3.5 stars, mainly because of the ending. It was not what I hoped for after all of the things happened in the book. I will keep reading the series though, because I want to see where it goes. In this book, we follow Ophelia, who can read objects' histories and travel through mirrors. And she is suddenly engaged to a strange and powerful man from Northern Arcs. In this book, people live on floating arcs, which is a very unique setting. I like the strange political drama in the book. It was a really good read. The next book is Go Giver. This is a short and impactful business parable about a man who learns that giving is the real key to success. It's structured around 5 laws of success. It was a good business book if you're new to mindset reads, but for me, it didn't bring anything new to the table. Still, quick motivational boost. Of course, after reading The Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, I waited for the Onyx Storm to release, and I give it 5 stars. Okay, maybe more like 4.5, but I'm rounding up. Because I am so invested in this world. On the other hand, I think I did have a similar issue with the Iron Flame, but in this one, the pace was not balanced. I think this book has pacing issue. Other than that, it was a great book. Without spoiling off too much of the plot, it's darker version of The Fourth Wing. Stakes are higher. You may not like this book or love this book as much as Fourth Wing, but I believe you will enjoy reading it. My 7th book is The Missing of Claire Delon. It's the 2nd book in Mirror Visitors series. It feels like in this book some parts felt dragging too much, but our main characters' dynamics so good, especially their awkward and reluctant connection. The emotional depth and world building totally make it worth reading. 8th book of the year is my 2nd Ticking Fisher read, Thornhatch. I get the hype about Ticking Fisher, but still I couldn't find a favorite yet. This was an interesting and unique take on Sleeping Beauty. We follow a toad-like fairy who puts the princess under a spell for the reasons we will discover while reading it. I enjoyed the concept and the writing style, but it did end too quickly for me. It had potential for more, in my opinion. I would have loved it more if it had been more longer than this. That's my opinion about this book. The next book is The Bones Beneath Our Skin. It's not. The next book is The Bones Beneath My Skin by T.J. Klune. This was my first T.J. Klune read. I didn't expect a mix of aliens and military to feel cozy, but somehow it did. It's about a man who protecting a strange little girl with her guardian that he finds in his cabin in the mountains. It touches on humanity, connection, and trust in a really soft way. The relationship between the characters are really great and emotional. I want to read more T.J. Klune now. Okay, my 10th book of the year is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This was such a wholesome and comforting read. A runaway librarian with her talking plant set up a spell shop on a magical island. It's kind of story that you curl up with when you just want to feel good. Highly recommend for cozy fantasy lovers. Also, I highly recommend as an audiobook. Okay, full disclosure, I'm a huge Britney Spears fan. So I might be a little biased while giving 5 stars, but I have to. I feel like I have to. I wish she narrated the audiobook herself, but I understand why she didn't want to. She explains the reason of in the beginning. Still, hearing her story from her perspective after reading and watching what's going on in her life for so long, I appreciate the book. I think it's a must read if you grew up with her music, but if you don't like memoirs, or you don't like Britney, or you don't know anything about her background, it might not be so interesting for you. So that's my opinion. Okay, my last book I read this year so far is The River Has Roots. Oh my god, The River Has Roots. The River Has Roots is a beautiful fairy tale like book. The writing style is absolutely stunning. I usually pick up physical copies of beautifully written books, but I listened to the audiobook of this book and it was such a beautiful experience. I only wish it was longer. This book is set in a town bordering the realm of the fairy. It's about two sisters tied to a magical forest with fae elements and poetic storytelling. That is the all I can say for this book. You should read this or listen to this actually. It's a story about transformation, revenge, and deep ties between these two women. So it was a really great read. I highly recommend this book, especially as an audiobook. You should listen to this book. So that's everything I read so far in 2025. Let me know if you read any of these or if you plan to. I have some interesting videos coming up, so I would love to have you here. Thanks for spending time with me today. Until next time, happy reading.